still muted or?
No.
Excellent, wonderful. Hi, I'm Amanda, and I am in the loft at Battleground Games and Hobbies in Abington, Massachusetts. Battleground has 3 locations. This is just one of them, and we have one in Norton, which is down south. We have one north of Boston, and then we have Abington, which is just south of Boston. And we have a wonderful loft in which I can stream. So I'm going to be painting today. I'm going to be painting some minis. We normally have Friday night board games. Excuse me. Friday nights at 7:30 Eastern, we play board games here in the loft. Myself, my husband, a couple of friends of ours, a couple of differing friends of ours, usually our friends John and Travis, and sometimes some additional guests. We played Gloomhaven last night, so the VOD of that should be up. There is an audio delay. We've been trying to figure out what's going on with that, but when we put it up on YouTube, hopefully it will be fixed. But if you want to take a look, that should be around. We're going to be playing, I don't remember what, some sort of co-op game, maybe Flashpoint. I think Flashpoint might be next week. We're doing co-op games for the month of January. It may be January and February. Co-op games are something we really enjoy, and there are a lot of them. And there turned out to be a lot that we all wanted to get a chance to play. So, here we are. I am going to be painting some miniatures from a not co-op game. I am painting miniatures from the Highlander board game. This is a game put out by Riverhorse Games. They are a UK game. Yes, thank you, Andy. Yes, Flashpoint is definitely next week. Riverhorse is a UK company that puts out games, a lot of licensed stuff. They ran a Kickstarter for this. They ran a Kickstarter for Pacific Rim, which I'm not sure what's up with that one right now. They also put out the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth board games. And I have some quibbles with Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. They're beautifully produced. One of the things that Riverhorse does very well is they make very pretty games. Their games are very well made. Their miniatures look gorgeous. Their boards are beautiful. Their cards and all of the materials that come with the game are really well done. They capture a lot of the tone and feel of the property that the game is based on. So the Labyrinth board game, it feels like you look at the board and you know this is the Labyrinth. It's beautiful. Dark Crystal, same thing. The board looks gorgeous. The cards look gorgeous. The figures look gorgeous. All of the little extra standees look gorgeous. Excuse me. The gameplay for Labyrinth and Dark Crystal is very samey. If you've ever played Talisman, it's very similar in basic concept. You pick a character and you wander around a board, and when you land on an empty space, you encounter a card from a deck, and that card is going to have some sort of challenge for you to meet. Maybe something cool, probably not. You're more likely to meet a monster that you have to fight than like a well of, water to drink from or something. The problem with Labyrinth was that due to the flavor of the game, that is Sarah having 13 hours to save her brother from Jareth, there are 13 rounds in which to play the game. And if you and your friends have not rescued Toby from Jareth, you lose. It's hard to do, is what we discovered, because there are a lot of challenge cards that will kick your butt, and the team-up mechanic requires that you land exactly on someone else's space, so you spend a lot of time passing each other by on the board, trying to land exactly on each other. That's a little frustrating, because you only have 13 rounds. You don't want to waste too many trying to team up, but if you haven't teamed up, then it's really a lot harder to have what you need and, not be constantly dying. They did tweak that a bit for Dark Crystal. It's still the same basic mechanic, but they did allow you to make it easier or harder by altering the number of rounds that you have in which to like accomplish your goal. They also added asymmetric play, so if you play as two Gelflings, you're playing together, and if one of you wins, both of you win. If you're playing as a Skeksis, then if one of you wins, everyone else loses. So, it did feel when I played it, it felt very weighted towards the Skeksis. And it should feel like you're an underdog, but in a board game, so in a script, you can write it so that the good guys win. In a board game, having it weighted towards the bad guys in order to have it be, have there be that dramatic tension, just ends up making you feel like it's impossible to win the game as the Gelflings. So that was a bit of a bummer. I think I also suffered from there being a handful of very bad draws right from the outset. My draws were very poor, and the Skeksis' draws were very good. They get to do an attack on the board and send out minions like every round, and they basically got to send out their best minions like 3 in a row. It was ridiculous. Like, they cascaded into each other. Anyway, I was a little nervous when Highlander came out because I knew that the figures would be gorgeous, but I was a little nervous about the gameplay. They had advertised it as being a like PvP duel sort of deal. I'm wondering if maybe Pacific Rim is going to end up being a very similar idea to this, in the same way that Dark Crystal built on the Labyrinth mechanic. Maybe Pacific Rim will build on some of the Highlander mechanic. In any case, I was pleasantly surprised. Not only are the figures gorgeous, and they are gorgeous. Here we have, this is based on the movie, not on the show. I have my fingers crossed that eventually we will get a show. Hey! Hi, folks! I do have my fingers crossed that eventually we will get a TV show expansion to the game. River Horse, if anyone is paying any attention to anyone who's streaming anything about this game, please look into a TV expansion. I have 2 friends who would love that. Myself and a couple of friends of mine, we've already got ideas. We're going to make our own if you don't, because we're real interested. I think the mechanic on this game is fantastic. Figures look great. I would love to have professionally done figures for the TV show characters. But for now, I've got the movie characters, which is still really cool. So here we've got Sunda Castigar. I have not started painting him yet. I'm sort of saving him. I want to look him up and get some good screenshots of him. We have Connor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. He's probably about 90% done. I've got detail work I really want to do on him, but I'm very pleased with how he looks at the moment. There's a little bit of, I need to do like facial details. I need to do some detail work in around like his belt and stuff. I want to add some highlighting on the fur around the top of his cloak. I want to add a little bit more highlighting on the back of his cloak. And I want to add cloud here. Thank you, Andy. So yeah, there are a couple of little things I want to do. I got a little bit of metallic on his knee right there. I need to touch that up. So he has some touch-ups and some detail work. And then I'm working right now on one of the original characters built for the game. This is Naminaga Minamoto, I think. Did I get that right? Naminaga Minamoto, yeah. Hooray! So one of the things you might have realized about the one and only Highlander movie is that it's a sausage fest. There are a lot of dudes in that movie and not that many ladies. You've got Heather and you've got what's her face in the forensic scientist in the future. Heather's mom. And that's it. You don't have any female immortals. I mean, you don't see a lot of other immortals, but you do see Castigar, you see Ramirez, you see the guy that Connor kills in the parking garage at the beginning. Iman Fasil. I've got a story for him. And you've got the Kurgan. And all of those characters have figures. So we've got Connor, we've got Castigear, we've got Ramirez, his fancy hat and peacock cloak. We've got Iman Facile. He's so pale. I only just started working on him. And we've got the Kurgan. And this is like olden times Kurgan. This is, I'm going to go kill Ramirez Kurgan. And I'll get to why in a moment. No ladies. Also, aside from Castigear there, very white. Very, very pasty. Despite Imam Facile's name, he is not actually not white. He's very white. He was a crusader who stole the name from someone else. But yeah, you might have noticed, a lot of dudes, a lot of white dudes. So for the board game, they created 2 original characters. And I'm actually really happy about that. And I'm not counting Ramirez because he was played by Sean Connery. And Sean Connery is no more Egyptian than I am. And I'm white. So we've got Naminaga Minamoto. And she's got backstory in the booklet actually has like a full page backstory for every character. And we've got Talia, who is Mesoamerican. She was, I believe, Mayan, according to her backstory. And both of them have like full backstories written, which makes me really happy. I really like their backstories. They're very interesting. And they have character cards. So we have their character cards. Here's Naminaga. And we have her ability, which lets her basically use another character's stats to roll with if she's in a space with someone else, which is really cool. I like that. We've got Connor here, vengeful. Gets to discard alleys and gain quickening tokens. So, here's Talia. This is her modern getup. She does have an ancient version. She's got Ruthless. She's like... Talia, I almost feel like, is OP. We've got Castigear. Right there. We've got Iman Facile. Look at him, he's so white. We've got Kurgan. This is his Vitor Kurgan. His big skull helmet. What the hell did he make that out of? Like, dude, so crafty. So here's the funny part about this game, which is that apparently it's really expensive to get the rights to reproduce Sean Connery's likeness. Very, very expensive. So they didn't. River Horse ran a Kickstarter for this game, and they made the decision to not bother trying to get Sean Connery's likeness. It was just going to eat up too much of their funds, so they didn't. And instead, they got this dude and either dressed him up or shopped him into a picture of the outfit. Don't really care what they did. He's very, very hipsterish. It's fantastic. I love it. So those are the base game. Every character in the base game also has their alternate version. If they have their early life version in the base game, then their modern version is in the expansion, the Princes of the Universe expansion. So this is Connor MacLeod as Russell Nash, which is his modern day persona. Antique dealer. It's in his like jeans and jacket sort of deal. On the other hand, Talia, who is in her modern gun runner persona here, is a vengeful priestess killing conquistadors in her ancient persona. And I am all here for that. So yeah, I'm super into that. On the other hand, Naminaga Minamoto, who is in her early life kimono here, either pre-immortal or like just turned immortal sort of persona. We have her modern day persona, Amy Gray. The two swords. Those twin swords, you get those twin swords in this game, you are going to kick some butt. That is a good weapon to have. So yeah, I like that they made the new characters like actually useful. Here's modern day Kurgan. I started doing his skin. He's a very pale boy. He's very pale. So I started doing some work on him. You can tell I sort of did like a gray on his pants. He's basically wearing all black leather and jeans. So a lot of what he's going to be is going to be like the detail work on his jacket and stuff. It's going to bring life to him. So yeah, they did different versions of the characters, which I really like. I think that's really cool. And then they did, yeah, look at him. Look at him. So beefy. So beefy. Yeah, that's supposed to be Ramirez. It's supposed to be Egyptian. Then you've got Russell Nash. And they have different abilities. And they have different stats. They don't have influence, they have effluence. There's a misprint. I really hope they don't reprint it because I really like effluence. So we're painting the base game first to start with. And then we're going to move on to the expansion when I'm done with these. So I started work on Naminaga. So the trick that I found was, and this is very frustrating, they did a very nice job. I really do appreciate that lots of places, yeah, sure. That's Russell Nash who's from lots of places, not Ramirez. Ramirez is just Sean Connery. I do appreciate that they created these two female characters and that they made them different ethnicities. I really appreciate that they have a Japanese character and that they have a Mesoamerican character. I really think that's cool. That they didn't just default to, like, white ladies. I like that. However, she is wearing a kimono, and in her character sheet, it is red. When you look up red kimonos, do you know what you find? A lot of Halloween costumes. So I had to go looking for like high fashion kimonos, and I did find a really cool looking one. I found a nice one. What I really like about it is that it's not just red. It's red that fades into a black at the bottom and has florals all along the bottom. And has a gold obi. So I'm going to try and show it to you. Oh, upside down. Forgot the camera was turned. So here we have, I know my computer screen is super dirty, but I rather like that. So we're going to run with that. That's my inspiration for her outfit, because obviously since she's an original character, she's not someone I can get screenshots of. Okay, I got screenshots of Connor. That was easy. Connor was like super easy mode. Kurgan is harder. Modern Kurgan is really hard to find a head-to-toe picture of. The best I can do is a head-to-toe picture of a 12-inch action figure. It's basically a Ken doll in a leather jacket. So we're gonna do that gold obi. I think that's what it's called. Am I getting this super wrong? I got it right. Real proud of myself. So we're going to use that. We're going to take the gold as inspiration there. And we're going to use the red and black with a cream undergown as inspiration. I don't have a back picture of this, which is a little frustrating, but that's okay. So what I did was I did the red first, and I'm gonna start shading in the black around here, and then I'm gonna start working the flowers in over it. So. And then when she's drying, I'll do some detail work on Connor. I'll probably work on Iman Facile a little bit. So the backstory's given in the book. I never really cared enough about Iman Facile to go looking him up to see if this is accurate in any way. Like to how he was listed in the movie, but in the backstory they've given him in the game, which I think is just so good. He was a crusader. He was convinced, and he was brought up to believe, that he is like a chosen one sort of deal. I want to check something actually before I go doing this. Before I lay paint down, I want to look something up. So he had like been brought up to believe that like God had chosen him to carry his message to the world, join the Crusaders, like his father before him, etc., etc. Ends up in like Constantinople and meets actual Muslim people, and is like, oh wait, you guys aren't horrible. What do I do? Oh no, now you're dead. I'll take up your name and continue to spread the word that God is amazing. Yeah, he's kind of a douche. But also, like, not the worst douche. He's basically, like, it's appropriation. You know, I'm going to, like, continue being a crusader, but now I'm going to do it under your name, sort of to honor you, but I'm still convinced that I'm, like, superior to everyone. The way this kimono has been made, the way it's been sort of sculpted, yeah, see, I'm not thrilled about this. The way it's been sculpted, it actually has a sculpted sort of collar here, but then it's also sculpted in along down there. most traditional kimonos that I'm finding don't actually have that. In fact, it's wrapped around far enough that you're not going to see that. I'm not like super knowledgeable about Japanese traditional fashion. And I don't just want to use like some horrible racist Halloween costume. I want to be looking at like legit. Yeah. It's very much more like painted like figurines than actual kimonos. Annoying. Well, we'll do our best. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, action research, and I'm sure this is thrilling. This does seem to be more formal kimono than yukata, so we're just gonna run with it. Alright, so I'm gonna do a little touch-up work. I'm just gonna go straight into the... this is like the traditional back of the obi, the way it's folded and stuff. So we're gonna run with that because it's not in a bow or anything. I think this is specifically about, like, it's specifically supposed to be a certain, like, stage of geisha training. I'm not going to try and make any pronouncements on this. I'm just going to do my best with what I have in the sculpt and what I can find in terms of pictures. Okay, well, we are going to start going over the bottom of the kimono in black. And the bottoms of her sleeves are also, in the one that I'm using for inspiration, the bottoms of the sleeves have also been there are going to be a lot of florals on this, so the border is pretty harsh, I know, but there are going to be a lot of florals obscuring the border. So I suspect that this is like painted on. I don't think that black is like a seam, so it's probably either dyed this way or it's painted on. I'm going to leave red as the undercolor, as if it's lined in red silk. I also like the idea of sort of having a little peak of red out from the edge. So the flowers on this are pink and red with green leaves, little bits of gold. So I've mentioned before on some of these streams, yellow is my most hated color to paint with. That does extend into some of the lighter tans and browns. I find them really irritating to deal with. Yeah. Hey, Pie. How's it going? She is 100% pulling a sword out from, like, her giant kimono sleeve. It is. It's 100% where... I mean, honestly, out of all the garments that I could imagine having hidden spaces, something with voluminous sleeves definitely is one of them. But I'm pretty sure those sleeves are supposed to be like flowy, which wouldn't really lend itself to hiding a long, sharp piece of metal. Not the most flexible, flowy of items. I need to glue this brush back into space. Oh God, it's really bad, isn't it? This brush, it gives me agita. I'll say that. It's it's not my favorite brush in that I love it so much. It's such a good brush, but it is the brush that I reach for more than anything else because I know it's always the size that I need. Question now being, no, I'm gonna need more glue. I think this glue is dead. Hey, haha. I will ask Andy for some glue. I don't have my own super glue with me. I will have to ask Andy to bring some up. I won't say a word, Pie. So we're actually going to be mixing two golds because I don't really want the antique gold on its own, but the bright gold, the new gold, is a little too bright. So, yeah, the antique gold isn't too bad. I just want them to be a happy medium between each other. There we go. I'm gonna text Andy and tell him I need glue Texting him is probably the best way for him to... I'm going to use this brush because I need the size. And this is the thing, is that I use this brush all the time. I don't love the handle. I find it... I don't like the wooden handles, I've found. I prefer the plastic handles because I find that they don't flake the paint. And I find that really irritating. But it's like always the right size. It's always the right size. We are going to do some texturing on that using the other shades of gold. We're going to do some wavy sort of stuff. Yes, Pi reclaimed her crown. Andy, if you're listening, I am finding myself in dire need of glue. One of my brushes is coming apart from the handle. I'm going to shake that red a little bit more. So, yellow is my least favorite color to paint with because I find that it goes on patchy no matter what. Red, I've found, looks bold when you first do it, and then it tends to soak in and fade a bit, and you end up having the undercolor come through. On one hand, that means if you do it over white, you're getting almost a pink or a bright sort of color that isn't necessarily what you want. Like, that's not what I wanted for this, definitely, which is why I did not base this in white. It also means that you end up having to do a lot of touch-ups. Hey, thank you. My tiniest brush is coming away from the handle, which it has been threatening to do for some time, so I'm not shocked. Thank you. that sit for a little bit. While we let that sit, let's, because I can't really do any other fine work on her until I've got that. You know what? First of all, there's something I want to do on MacLeod's sword. So that it looks like it says MacLeod on it. Not doing that with a brush. We're actually going to uncap one of the itty bitty brushes. This is not my smallest. And I think I actually managed to mess up some of the bristles. Oh well. That seems like the most likely. Okay. So it does look like the florals were probably painted on. If she was wearing like a traditional, and there are a couple of different ways to do like traditional kimono decoration. But hand painting is definitely a thing. I'm doing is sort of laying the groundwork for stems and the like. Once I've done the flowers, I'll go in with this brush and do leaves as well. I just wanted to give myself some stems to work off of. How's this doing? Pretty dry. Excellent. Wonderful. Now we're going to do some flowers. So I'm using Derek's paints. Derek being the store owner. And he doesn't have a whole lot of pink. Not a lot. So we're actually going to use this sort of violet red and mix it with green. Wow. So Pi, if you're still watching, how's it going?
That was actually really good answer. He goes, I damaged your whole board. I'll be killing them all a little. I get hammer off it.
feel about this? Is it pretty good? You're back? Welcome back. What do you think of my figure, of all the flowers? I've been seeing your tweets. Without knowing specifically what's up, I hope things turn out well. How do we feel about her? Pretty good? I hope things work out. How do we feel so far about my lady here?
Yes, well, I'm letting you guys know in general because this could affect what you would play or not.
She's only got 1 foot visible, but I do want to do the traditional tabby socks with, I believe, I feel like a red silk sandal would be the right way to go for this.
Then if he does not win, then he gets 1 turn. Then it's, after that, no more playing cards.
You like her a lot? Thank you. I'm very pleased with how she's coming out.
The player with the most keys forged at that point is the winner. If it's a tie, we then go to who has the most remaining amber in their pool. It's still a tie. Each player would select one of their houses, then each player totals the number of friendly creatures in play of that house and adds the amount of bonus amber from the house cards still in their hand. This is the player's potential amber. The player with the most potential amber would then be the winner.
think the sandals are actually sculpted. It's just that she's so tiny,
Oh, okay, they're clear.
it's hard to make them out.
If you could potentially stop him from forging, I can't. Oh, no.
So. Classy but fit to destroy your village? Yeah, basically. That's her sort of her thing. Not quite as vengeful. More right the wrongs, fix the ills of society sort of deal. Let me find her backstory. Alright. Born in 1174 to the Minamoto clan, Naminaga's earliest memories were of a conflict known as the Genpei War. In victory, her clan's leader took the title shogun and established his capital in Kamakura. It was a time of war and rebellions, alliances forged and pacts broken. The defeat of Yoritomo's rivals at the Battle of Dan no Ura in 1185 saw her clan finally consolidate its power and establish the supremacy of the samurai warrior caste. It also began what would grow to become Japan's feudal age. The society around her was strictly hierarchical. Women were neither expected nor permitted to bear arms. Her tutor was a wounded samurai named Shijo, and he knew that that women and children died just the same as men in the aftermath of wars and rebellions. To fight a samurai was out of the question, so in secret he taught her how to use her slight build and swiftness to her advantage. She trained without armor and bore only lighter blades. She later learned to fight with a bow and throwing daggers, to hunt in darkness and strike from the shadows, etc., etc. Not so much. So this is based on Highlander. So she eventually dies and then comes back to life. Let's see. Yeah, her clan's leader was looking for a suitable husband for her. Didn't work out very well for him. He was ambushed. But then she leapt to his defense, but couldn't save herself. She fell, she died. She was going to be buried with honor. But then that night she awoke with a gasp, feeling for a wound that was no longer there. And her tutor was there waiting for her because he had known that she would become an immortal. Immortals in the Highlander universe can feel the potential for someone to become immortal, and if you die a violent or unnatural death, basically if you're poisoned, stabbed, hit by a car, etc., you will revive as an immortal, as a full immortal. Sort of your potential comes to the fore at that point. So that's what happened with her. She and her former tutor then roamed the countryside. They slipped away and became wandering Ronin, basically. She disguised herself, and they traveled the entirety of Japan. They fought along her family's descendants, and in like the mid to late 1200s, the two of them fought in for people who couldn't help themselves. They defended the defenseless and roamed the countryside and became known as the Red Samurai and the Gray Ghost. Mythical warriors who could be called upon with prayers and good deeds. If a cause was just, it was said, they would lend their aid in the fight against injustice. So eventually her teacher dies and she goes into self-imposed exile until the time of the gathering, when she feels she must come out of exile and fight, because that's what immortals do. I really like this backstory for her. I wouldn't have gone with red, except her character card does have red on it. So I decided to go with red and gold, this floral motif that's on the fan, the gold. I went looking, I found a really cool looking kimono that is red at the top. It's basically what I did here. It's red at the top and then black around the bottom with florals sort of obscuring the hard line between the black and the red. So that's the idea. So I'm going to take the camera off its mount for a second so that I can show you Pi. This right here is the kimono that I'm basing her look on. So you can see it has the florals, it has the gold obi, it's got the sort of cream undergarment, which has a name and I can't remember it. But it's like pink and white and red florals and green leaves, a little bit of gold in there, and a little bit of floral up on the shoulder, a little bit on the sleeves, but then mostly the red is just red silk. Thank you. So that's what I found online. I just went looking for traditional kimonos that weren't like costumes, because I don't want to go for like some stupid Halloween costume. I want to go for something that's like legitimate and authentic. So I went looking for it, found that, and thought that really is sort of what I want to go for. I need to do a little bit more work on the gold obi. I don't want it to be just a flat gold. You can see I did a little bit of sort of wavy line to it. But yeah, she is, so the pictures in the booklet show the renders that were used for the figures. And she is wearing her sandals down here, with her tabby socks. She is drawing a blade out from her sleeve, which does seem to be very ill-advised. And my guess is, so this is my thinking, she's the ghost in that story. And we know that because they've labeled her ghost. And both her modern, so this is her ancient, like her early life self, and then there's her modern self, Amy Gray, and she is also ghost. So that's what she is like in the modern day. And there's another figure for her. That's her figure for modern day. I would have gone with gray, but she's red. She's wearing red in the card. I kind of feel like this is not long after she first died. And this may be her in a disguise, blending in with a courtly house in order to deal with something. So that's my thinking. So that's what I've done. I want to do a little bit more work on the obi, and I need to now paint her blade. I also want to give her skin I need to go over her skin one more time. I am using golden skin for her. The paints I have a whole lot of pale skin, and then one dark skin, which, wah wah, you gotta mix your own. But the golden skin tone is pretty decent. I don't think she would be painted up in full geisha face paint for this. I kind of don't want to try and do full. I feel like on a small figure like this, that it would look a little cartoony. So I don't really want to deal with that. She is wearing her hair in a geisha style, though. And that I know. Like I said, I'm not an expert in Japanese culture or geisha culture. I have done just enough reading about it to know that there's a whole hierarchy of how you wear your kimono, how you wear your obi, how your hair is done, how your makeup is done. It's very structured. There's a whole thing that how your hair is done and how you're wearing your clothes is supposed to tell people that you're an apprentice, that you're not a full geisha yet, and therefore to not expect you to be as skilled necessarily. You're still learning the instrument that you play, because you're gonna play an instrument. you're still apprenticed, and therefore that means that you're going to be listening, you're going to be following someone else around, and you're going to be listening to that person teaching you. So I know that there's a whole hierarchy to the hairstyles and the way the clothing is done. I just don't know what they all are. I know the hierarchy exists. I'm not well versed in like what each style is and which one denotes what. So I'm gonna have to look up her hairstyle. I know she's definitely got like it's not just hair, there's like ties and all sorts of little details there. So I'm gonna have to look it up because it's supposed to be very specific, and I don't want to be. I'm a white girl, and I'm painting a figure that's supposed to be traditional Japanese. She's not actually a geisha in her backstory, but given that she and her teacher traveled a lot and did a lot of sort of fighting for the underdog, I could see her very easily being, and she's a ghost. So why not have her be someone who goes into, goes in disguise and sneaks her way into places so that she can then let her partner in and take care of something. I can see that. I can see it. I've got a whole rich tapestry in my head. So what we're going to do now is go over her face. Because right now her face is kind of patchy because I only did one coat of skin tone over the black base coat. The back is also very, it sits low. And see, just wearing a kimono doesn't denote like geisha status. It's the hair that's really telling me, because I know I've read about like hairstyles. Yeah. This looks a lot like that. Yeah. I want to look up like traditional hairstyles. It's really fascinating stuff. I just don't know enough about it to feel confident in like stating anything as fact. Definitely looks like that third one. I just know that there's a lot of things denoted by hairstyle, by the way you're wearing things. I don't want to go messing it up too much. Awesome. Okay, so a bunch of the styles that are now considered like at least a couple of them that are like considered as like geisha hairstyles were more common and are now mostly only seen on like modern geisha because they're a lot of fuss. So you're not going to bother doing them unless you have to, or you wear a wig. Yay, quick research. Okay. So it looks like basically what I need to do is give her, like, this comb needs to be colored somehow. But otherwise her hair can stay the color that it is and the shape. Like, I don't have to do any fancy, like, work to make it look different. Yeah, I just find it frustrating because I don't want to mess anything up. I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to do something. And, like, I don't know. I don't know. I am not an expert. And I have never tried to claim to be an expert, but I don't want to, like, I don't want to say something, have someone take it as gospel, and then find out, wow, I was super, super wrong, and I didn't, like, give any sort of, or I didn't give enough of a disclaimer about, like, not knowing what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm doing my best based on, like, internet research. Like, I seriously feel like since she's hiding this blade, she's definitely, like, undercover. Yeah. Doing my best with internet research. Yeah, me too. hard same. Now, blades, I'm a little more knowledgeable about. Because, have you ever been to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston and looked at their really fantastic collection of Japanese swords? Because they have a really fantastic collection of Japanese swords. It's very cool. And what I love about them is that they actually took them apart. Like, they didn't take them, but they have, like, they show you all the different parts of how a blade is put together, which is super, super cool. Because there's sort of, I feel like, a tendency to assume that it's like all one piece, but actually the little hilt is not part of the handle. Like, even if you know that the blade goes into the handle and then the handle sort of comes around it to grip it, even if you know that, that handle, this bit here, is not part of the handle. It's its own thing, it's carved individually, and you can, like, just look, they have a whole collection of them. I don't know if they have them on display right now, but they did at one point, and I loved going and looking at them because they're so cool. Yeah. Let's look at... I feel like she probably isn't pulling a sword out from that sleeve. I feel like it's probably a tanto, which is the smaller... It's like a little mini katana. It's that year long-ish, I think. It's a knife, basically. Yeah. So yeah, the thing about it is, moving the camera again, when you're looking at a blade, a Japanese blade, this is what you're seeing. And this part here is inside the handle, which is really cool. So all of that gets hidden, which is one reason why, like, the signature is in there. Yeah, this is called the tang. And most blades, most swords do have that. Because you're not going to just be attaching a blade to a handle. It wouldn't be sturdy. So actually, it goes down into the handle, and then the handle is wrapped around it. The hilt is wrapped around, which is very, very cool. So that is, what's it called? Is it the Tsubasa? It's a TS. Tsuba, that's what it is. Yeah, Japanese sword mountings. Yeah. So I feel like she's not pulling a full katana out. She probably has one, but she's not pulling one out of a sleeve. So you can find the Tsubas. They're not hard to, like, look up and find. It's a sword guard. So you're gonna see something like that. So you can see this is where the blade goes, and you can see actually the shape of the blade here. And you can see how it's mounted. It's very cool stuff. You can see there are a lot of different shapes for them. They're engraved, they're carved, they're shaped differently. So yeah, just very, very cool stuff. She's going to have a basic one, but I wanted to look it up largely because I wanted to see if they're ever done in anything other than black. Most of the ones that I've seen have been very dark. But I want some contrast there, and it does look like traditionally you're going to see, like, dark lacquered ones, but they were also done in, it looks like, probably bronze, like a darker metal. So we're going to do that. I'm going to do what I did earlier, which is mix some antique gold with black, and we're going to use that for the tsuba. Fun fact, that TS sound, the sound that's at the beginning of tsunami, is a sound where if you did not grow up hearing or making it, is extremely hard not only to make but to hear. There's also a really cool DH sound that is used by it's a language in Africa, I forget which one. It's very cool. Hey. But I have no idea what it actually is supposed to sound like. I only know what the approximation of it sounds like. Because legitimately, someone saying the word like a D and the DH sound, I can't really hear the difference. It's certain vowel sounds in English. No, we're actually talking about Japanese, and linguistic things like when you grow up hearing a sound, you know how to say it and you know how to recognize it. But if you don't grow up hearing it, it's not only hard for you to make, it's hard for you to hear. So that TS in tsunami, a lot of people don't hear it as tsunami. They're hearing it as tsunami. And the difference between tsunami and tsunami are indistinguishable for people who didn't hear it when they were younger. Thanks, college linguistics class. I didn't gather a ton from you, but I gathered that. Thank you, Pi. Honestly, florals on this scale are not the hardest thing in the world to do. It's like, oh, I'll put a blobby dot here. Perfect. I basically wanted it black with a metallic to it, and that is 100% what I got. And then we're going to do a little bit of shadowed steel underneath there. Actually, she would have a really nice blade. She wouldn't have shadowed steel. She'd have a really well taken care of blade. So it's going to be more of a regular steel. There's not quite enough of it for me to do any wave sort of patterns. To do that really gorgeous stuff that people think of. I'm going to go over her hair now. going to go over her hair with black because this style would have been waxed. It would have been like sort of fixed in place, and theoretically you have to like sleep on a little neck platform to maintain it because it's got so much stuff behind it. All right, let's do her hair. There we go. I think she's looking pretty good. picture in the booklet and see what they actually like rendered this to look like. Alright, so I need that sort of band across the top. Which is actually like a comb. And it sort of got the back of the comb is sort of poked through to hold it in place. So that's cool. Okay. Time to break out the really bitty brush. It's my really bitty brush. Really small. So that pink is I'm gonna have to go over it again, but I think largely she is done until I do a wash on her. We're gonna let her sit for a bit because if I try painting over some of that stuff, it's just gonna mix and I don't want to do that. So we're gonna move on to this jerk who is wearing a black suit. Thanks, buddy. He's not even wearing a colorful tie. What a boring dude. Buddy, you gotta get more interesting. You're super boring. He's gonna wear a dark red tie because I don't want to do, like, I'm sick of doing just, like, black. We're gonna do his shirt again. I did a coat on his shirt. He's getting, like, a starched white shirt because, let's face it, this dude is, like, anal as hell. This is not a man who would ever wear, like, a cream shirt. This guy is, no. White shirt, burgundy tie. Maybe he has a vest on? God, if only he was interesting enough to have a vest. Let's give him a gray overcoat. I'm pretty sure he's not wearing a gray overcoat. You know what? There is a, like, color corrected picture of him wearing a burgundy tie, so we're just gonna run with that. All right, let's look up. I just want to look up pictures from the garage fight. Yeah, he'll have a dark gray overcoat. I can't really. He's like wearing all black. Yeah, black on black on black. Ugh. He's so boring. I hate doing, like, all black ensembles because it's really hard to make them interesting.
Just a reminder that we have standard showdown in half an hour. Free standard showdown if anybody brought their standard decks with you.
We'll do his hair. He's super blonde. Again, working with yellow. One thing I will say for this figure, he's wearing sunglasses. So I don't have to worry about his eyes. And I appreciate that. The problem that happens when you look up Highlander garage fight is you get a lot of results for people in parking garages fighting over Toyota Highlanders. I think it's Toyota. Whatever the car is, that's what you get. We're actually going to give him a dark gray vest to make him more interesting. And we're going to give him a gray overcoat. Because he doesn't seem like he would mix his neutrals. This isn't like a guy who's wearing any interesting colors. This isn't a guy who is going to wear like a... Yeah, odd crossover in search terms, definitely. But when you look up like Highlander garage, you're going to find cars. Never mind that the movie starts in a parking garage. So we're going to give him a dark gray overcoat. He's also wearing gloves, so I don't have to worry about his skin tone on his hands, which is nice. So I guess thanks for doing me that favor, in exchange for having the most boring outfit in all the land. What we're going to end up doing is mixing some black with some gray to make the darkest possible gray. And then we're going to do like highlighting on his back to bring it up a bit. His makes me want to watch the movie, to be honest.
I don't know how it's going to work anymore because the system, well, because how that system is made up, it's not made for this type of format. It's all made for the Magic system. Okay. It wouldn't need luck if you had lost it. Just saying. But the thing is, the system isn't made for this type of format. It's made for Magic, so it needs 203, I'm pretty sure. You can only face one of them per game. That's the thing is, I don't know at this point because how the clock study is working. If that's the case, Jason would know about why. Because he has two decks.
Oh no, they were in my waiting room because I think that recharges for a while. Hello. I'm gonna have to pay out on my stock anyway.
They are that good.
Big girls.
You still hold on to them though as a win condition. Not like
Large.
unless you margin key and then start your next turn enough to tap.
God, he's boring. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little bit of the spray and mix it into the black.
Can't side for 5.
It's only the barest.
Not like those people. That's the most refreshing I've done to this deck in a long time. I was in I know it's important to have artifacts. That's too much. I should update my deck for the Ghost Shot Hunter. Decrease that way. I'm basically mono green. Except for actually I'm basically mono green. You're mono green.
You don't see anything when you play it, but if you do start to see when it dies, because they're two separate guys. It's not like it's captured.
Oh, that was floppy. Didn't mean that to be quite so bad. Wow. That's a mess.
I can't remember if I took. I don't remember how many you own versus how many you borrowed from Carl.
Yeah, I messed up those sunglasses.
In there would be the ones I own.
I take it back. I'm not happy about the sunglasses. Gotta do his face again. Well, I guess I had to do it again anyway. He's got pale skin. No. There we go.
The funny thing about this kind of reminds me a lot of Highlander. I think destroyed creature goes off first. The shot that you just sort of use to kill things sometimes. Because you just sort of use it as a token.
Yeah. No, we'll do his face again.
Double check other places. In case there's something that sort of I'm good to say you can't take it back because how it did steal and interact with me. I'm gonna say that is 72. If it was something that didn't interact, maybe I'd allow it then.
My mother is texting me. What does she want?
Yeah. Sacrifice creature. 3 damage. Do deal to each of 2 creatures. 2 creatures are taking 3 damage. And then steal 2 of them.
Oh, okay, I know what that is. Alright. She wants a book. That I can do, because that's kind of my thing.
I'm going to play First Time. Swap my deck by this card.
So this is the problem. The sunglasses are molded onto his face and require some very fine detail work to actually hit the mold line.
Good boys. House. Okay, all.
Yeah, he's basically wearing like Ray-Ban aviators. God, he's such a tool. You're one of the men in black, you jackass. He's such a tool. We're gonna use the real tiny brush for this. I wanted to avoid using like the tiniest of brushes, but I think I have to. I'm going all over the place by accident because my brush is too big. So I could have sworn I heard a Derek earlier. So if I do it exactly the way that it's molded, it's going to look real bloppy. So we'll just run with that for now. I suppose I could build this up into like a much lighter gray than normal and then take it down with a wash. Maybe I'll do that. It might be worth it. Leave the crevices sort of not done, but do the rest of the suit. I'm leaving the overcoat as is after I did the sort of first coat of gray, because I actually want it to end up being very dark. This one is not a super detailed or complicated figure, aside from needing to do like shades of gray.
I was trying to remember which one the recommendation was. This one? That's how I feel every time I open my toy.
I do want to go fairly heavy in the gold here, because I'm going to end up putting a wash over this, and it's going to settle in the crevices. We're going to let him sit for a little while. And then we're going to do her sandal. The one that she's got sort of visible. I'm going to do a little bit of work on her obi. I'm pretty happy with how she's turned out. go. So she's got her little sandal on. I will clean up around the base. I think she's mostly done. She needs a wash. We're going to let her dry before we do a wash on her. I think I might end the stream there whenever Andy gets a chance to come upstairs. I don't want to overtax my eyes, so I think I'm going to finish things up. But I'm feeling really happy that she's mostly done. Iman Fasil is there's not a lot to him, so he's mostly done, which gives me 3 that are pretty close to done. Castigear has a sort of kente cloth thing going on with his vest, which is pretty cool. So I need to look up some pictures of him, or I need to put the DVD into my drive and take some screenshots, one way or the other. I need to do something. Ramirez is going to be like a whole lot of red. Let's see. Yeah, he is wearing... Yeah, that is red. Let's go ahead and use some of the burgundy that I've already got as like a base. Yeah. He is such nonsense. I love him. The peacock feather cloak is going to be a real pain to deal with, isn't it? I do appreciate that his sword just goes behind his leg, but in between his leg and the cloak, and it's not also coming out from behind the cloak. If anyone sees this, who also saw my painting of my buddy John's Starship Samurai figures, there was one that made me angry. Because, good God, the sword sort of went through a nether space. It goes through like at the crotch, and then it just sort of appears like it was sculpted solid. The cloak was sculpted as like a block almost, and it was really irritating. I had to sort of paint in a gap. Oh yeah, we'll build this nonsense up. It's gonna be great. So Andy, I know, is trying to get Standard Showdown up and running, so I'll keep painting until he gets a chance to come up here. God, even his hat is mostly burgundy, isn't it? How have you lived this long? Ramirez is a fun character to play around with in terms of like thinking about his life. Here's this guy who started out in ancient Egypt and ended up in Spain. And like decided, I really like dressing ridiculously. I like dressing as flamboyantly as possible. Kind of have a feeling like my voice is echoing every once in a while, and I'm really hoping I'm not coming out the speaker downstairs. I shouldn't be, because there should be a delay. I shouldn't be able to hear myself. So look, peacock feathers are a giant pain in my behind, and we're going to start with a green base and run with it. We're actually going to start with a darker green, and we're going to blend up. No, you know what? We're going to start with the jade green and add blues to it. And then put a wash over it. Like, we'll do a dark green wash, and we'll run with that. One of the things about this shade of green, is that it does not go on opaque. I've tried, it doesn't. It may look semi-opaque, but it doesn't dry that way. See what I mean? That's creepy as all hell. It's a good one, though. I feel like the cloak, obviously it's got lots of peacock feathers. That's the whole point, is that it's a peacock feather cloak. But looking at this picture, yeah, it's lined in blue silk, peacock blue silk, which honestly is fantastic. It makes me very happy. So we're actually going to use this deep ocean color. Oh no. Yeah. No. These are both very good. No, it's definitely darker than that. I feel like if I mix this with more of a blue, no, it's too gray a blue. We'll go with this. Yeah, that's a good one. We'll add a little bit of this to it. That actually probably is the right blue to be using. Perfect.
I saw someone selling a deck of portals for $40, and I was like, oh, I should probably tell Ryan because that seems pretty affordable, you know? Yeah. But paying $40 for basically
It's pooling. I don't like that. It's beating up.
So basically what happens is there's this discussion
we'll keep playing with his cloak next time. Let's do a little wash on her. I actually do have something I want to do on that I kind of forgot that I wanted to do until just now.
No, I mean you have the auto attack. It just takes my instance, so it's just by hand so and then you go through having two decks, you quit to having one deck.
Yeah, and it's repaired up again with this.
Okay.
All right, let's see. I have a lot of paints out, so let's put some of those away.
If I had switched my decks around, I might have found it really good. Everything you picked out of your battle gear, I'll play outside. That way you still have your
Let's see what I have for washes available to me. I have black in my own bag.
He's around.
Well, it's basically the software we're using is not made transformer. That's the easiest way to explain it, to be honest.
Double elimination, it won't pair somebody against somebody who has a quarter. So whoever wins the judgment round, whoever fights Alex. If Alex loses, fight the second judgment one.
Sorry, I'm doing the wash not on camera. This is a red wash. I believe it's actually intended for like flesh tones, so it's a little orangey. That's fine. I don't want it to be super, super dark. Because I want to maintain a lot of the detail work that I've done. I'm actually going to do it over the black because the black should be painted onto the red, which means it should have a slightly red cast to it. So that's fine for that. And then we're going to use this, which is more of a golden wash. It's like a brown, but it's a warm brown as opposed to Earthshade, which is more of a cool brown. And we're going to use this over the gold. Okay, she's gonna dry now. I need to work on his boots a little bit more. But he's largely, like, the bulk of his stuff is done. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, he's gonna hang out. I'm bored with him. I'm happy with the colors that are happening in this. We'll get some detail work done later. So yeah, I'm gonna see if Andy can come up and shut down the stream. It's 3:30ish. I need to take a little break, and I probably won't have time afterwards to come back to it. But thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me for Highlander Fun Times and for action research, apparently. The trick here is that the layout of the loft does not really allow me to be both mic'd over here and have the camera facing me, and I'm more comfortable sitting over here, just because of the lighting. Sitting over there, there's no light above, and so it's darker by a bit, whereas I have the light directly over me. The shadows would be more over there, but the streaming rig is over there, and it's hard to get it around to this side. So, but then I'm mic'd up with a corded mic, even if I had a wireless mic, I'd have to like get up and go around to turn things off. So things are getting awfully noisy downstairs. So that's probably a good sign for me to shut down anyway. I have a feeling that a couple of events are happening. I know Keyforge was already happening. I know Standard Showdown was a thing. I have a feeling there's a few other things going on as well. I should wash that brush. Let's see if Andy gets up here. So yeah. I want to let these guys dry. I don't want to do much more with the ones that I've already been working on, because if I do, I'll overwork them. And I know that about myself. And the ones that I've been working on that aren't overworked, I feel like I need to just take a break and look at them with fresh eyes the next time I come on. For good or ill, I'm sort of leaving Kurgan for last. He's got that big skull mask thing going on, that big like skull helmet happening. That's always fun. That'll take a wash really nicely to give it a lot of definition. I'm looking forward to painting that with that old bone color. He's got a lot going on, though, texture-wise, and that's always fun in a mini. Like I said, it'll pick up a wash really well. He's got a good pose, very dynamic. He's got his really nasty blade there with the spiky bits at the handle, which is cool. Castigear's got a nice like, machete sort of sword going on there, which is nice. Again, I really appreciate how thin the fabric has been made in this sculpt. You definitely see I didn't fully coat it with primer under there. It would be very hard to get it completely under there, but it'll take paint just fine. Fine for that under section. But he's looking good in terms of the sculpt, so he'll be fun to paint. And for her, I'm just going to have to look up, like, I don't know, cargo pants, stuff like that. She's wearing the same necklace in this, and I feel like there might be reference for that in one of the pictures. She's not wearing it in the picture there, because they probably just grabbed, like, clip art. They probably grabbed, like, whatever reference photo they could without paying an arm and a leg for it. She's not wearing a necklace in this one either. That's okay. I'll make it up. But she is wearing it in the figure, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, same necklace. So I'll have to do some reference photos. So that'll be cool. I don't know if Andy got my text. It's been delivered, but not read. Let's see. I'm going to put stuff away. But that was fun. I'm pretty pleased with the work that I got done today. If you do get a chance, if you like Highlander as like a thing, if you liked the movie, if you liked the show, if you've had fun with that sort of stuff in the past, I do recommend the game. It legitimately, like I said earlier, it was a pleasant surprise. The actual gameplay is legitimately really fun. You take one of the immortal characters, you have 3 stats. While I'm waiting for Andy. You have 3 stats. You have your cunning, your power, and your influence. These are the dice you roll for that. But what's really cool is that through the course of the game, you draw cards from the era deck, And you can draw, from the era deck, you can draw things like a life, you can draw an arena, which changes the dueling rules. You can draw allies, but the lives go on the side of your card and alter the dice rolls. So that's pretty cool. Hi.
Hi. Are you shutting down?
I am shutting down. I am about done for the day. Thank you for joining me, and I hope I will see you again probably Friday. Well, yeah, but also I'm off this coming Friday, so I will probably do some painting again. So yeah, thank you for joining me.
Bye, everybody.